With Disney's DuckTales series long since over, there hasn't been a lot of DuckTales news to talk about or reason to make new videos. But today I'm going to make a quick exception because I just got a copy of The Art of DuckTales Deluxe Edition. Let's open this thing and check it out. If you've been following any of the DuckTales crew that made the show online, you might have heard about The Art of DuckTales. It's a collection that really goes over the creation of the show, so there's a lot of the internal art and has a lot of interviews. I have not looked at this yet, so I thought before I did any real content, any real review of this, I thought I'd share my first look and the unboxing at the Deluxe Edition, which I bought for a very specific reason I'll get to in just a second. But let's open it up first and take a look at what the Deluxe Edition of this comes with. There comes in two different versions. There's the Standard Edition, which has this main book that we can see right here. I think the Deluxe Edition also comes with this nice slipcover, but the Deluxe one has gold printing on the side of the paper, which is not the real reason I bought it. It's a nice bonus of why you might get the Deluxe Edition, but the real reason I couldn't resist getting the Deluxe version of this art book is because this version comes with an extra book with even more content, and it just happens to be styled after the Junior Woodchuck Guidebook. I've always wanted a Junior Woodchuck Guidebook. I couldn't resist that. And before I get into that, let's look at the initial book really quick and see what we got. This is what you get with the Deluxe one. You get the slipcover, the main book with the golden pages, and of course the Junior Woodchuck Guidebook with extra and even more content. And right off the bat, this looks pretty cool. It's much bigger than I imagined it would be, but that's nice. You always want your art books to be a bit larger. I'll show it to you guys instead of to me. It opens with this. This is the establishing shot you get in so many of the episodes, showing the mansion on the outside, nicely and beautifully double-page printed. Oh man, this is literally my first time looking at it. O's of the Wonderful Giant spread, The Art of DuckTales by the crew and cast with Ken Plume, and pencil line art of the main cast. With a table of contents opening on a sprawling look at the Duckburg map, and a table of contents showing the pre-production of the show, going over how they designed it, the character design, how they built the team, how they made the characters, and then individual sections for each season's episodes. At first glance, this really seems to be the ultimate love letter to the show by the people that created it itself. Really diving into all the questions you might have had about how this show came to be, how it was envisioned, and what it was like to work on it. The book starts out immediately with pre-production, showing off images of what looked like the pitch documents for the original show, highlighting the original team that helped set the show up, and framing the entire thing with a series of interviews that unfold as a conversation about the show's production history. It then dives directly into the style of the show itself. Details about how the buildings and backgrounds are drawn, example documents about how perspective, horizon, and how the multi-plane camera works in the show, and crucially, details about the character designs and how bits of how the characters are drawn and the duck bill design for these characters are largely patterned after Milt Kahl's early work for Ludwig von Drake, as you can see down here. It's pretty cool to see these design documents, these character sheets, saying, here's where the overlap line on the beak is, and here's why you shouldn't draw it. For a guy like me, that's all really exciting, to be able to read the background of how the show was produced. As someone that always wanted to be involved in animation in a more direct way than my life actually led, reading stories about how it was done and how one of my favorite shows came to be is really exciting. But not just the production aspect. The book goes on to talk about the characters and how they are developed, interviews with the voice actors to get an idea of how they contributed to the development of each character, as well as showing tons of early production art for these characters as they were trying to figure out who they wanted them to be for the new DuckTales show. That means you get these huge spreads for each character, a whole page showing something similar to their final production version, plus a lot of concept art, showing off what they looked like in early versions before their characters were finalized, with interviews with their voice actors talking more about who that character is. That's really fun. And it looks like the book goes on to describe details about every single episode, both how it was designed in terms of the layout of the art, and of course interviews with the creators about how they planned out the story. I also really like that the portraits for most of the major creators shown in this book are all DuckTales portraits. I've only been flipping through this book for just a few minutes, but this is already looking really exciting for DuckTales fans. I'll have to get into more deep into that later, because I just don't have the time right now. This is just a quick unboxing. But before we go, I definitely want to check out the DuckTales guidebook. This is the extra book that you get if you get the deluxe edition, and I'm going to be honest, I have no idea what's inside there, so let's find out. This extra DuckTales guidebook is a little flimsier than the initial one. Unlike the main book, it's not a hardcover, but it still looks like it's packed with a ton of great content. It's basically a compendium that has expanded interviews from the main book, with more details and information that had to be left out of the core book, and even more artwork. In fact, at a glance, this looks like it's filled with a lot more rough line drawings than we saw in the final book, giving us a look at more rough doodles done by the team as they were exploring the characters, as well as extra pitch document pages that were left out of the core book as well. In fact, it seems to cover everything the core book has, just with more detail and more art and more interviews. But it gets better. Not only is this a great companion to this, that looks like an object from the show, the Junior Woodchuck Guidebook, it has one more really cool surprise in it. It has Scrooge McDuck's #1 dime. Tucked into the pages of this book is an actual coin styled after Scrooge's #1 dime. It looks just like the dime on the show, except for it's real. And it's presented in an incredibly cool way. And if you didn't know it was there, you wouldn't even find it until you got to the page for the Shadow War, where a dime-shaped cutout appears across 100 pages, revealing the dime all the way through Season 1 till Season 3, when you get to the Let's Get Dangerous page and you can see the dime playing on its own page. I'm a little afraid to take this off, but let's check it out really quick. Oh, look at that. There we go. Scrooge McDuck's #1 dime made real. That's much larger than a real dime, but that's still just incredibly cool. It feels like real metal. Wow. There's still a little bit of glue here. I'm gonna wipe that off here. Now, it's kind of a bummer. Without the glue, it won't stick in the book, but I don't think that'll be an issue, because thanks to these handy cutout pages, which not only look cool, they serve as a holder. So when the book's closed, it's not likely to fall out again. That's still just a really nice bonus to add into this book. That's just what a great perk for getting the deluxe edition. I'm gonna keep it right here in the book, otherwise I'm gonna lose this forever. But now that I take the glue out, I can't read the book with it in there. I've got to well, maybe if I put the coin back in there. Put the glue back on. What a nice bonus. That is just incredible. I love it. This is just a wealth of DuckTales content. If you're a fan of the show and you missed the show now that it's over, definitely think about picking this up, because there's so much in here that I absolutely can't go over it in this short video. Maybe I'll do another one soon in the future where I talk about my favorite bits of what's in both of these books, but I haven't read them at all yet. In fact, the length of this video is about as much time as I've spent with both of these so far. But, you know, even at that first glance, this looks like just a wonderful set put together by Ken Plume, interviewing the cast and the crew and the people that made this show possible. And like I've said before on this channel, I really enjoyed covering this show over the last few years. DuckTales was really important to me as a child. It was a show that I really liked. It's one of the things that made me fall in love with animation and Disney and adventure stories. And when I grew up reading the comics, that continued. So seeing the show come back and act as a love letter to all those things I liked as a child was wonderful. And I think reading about the people who made that show will be just as wonderful, if not in some ways even better. So this is The Art of DuckTales. If you get the deluxe edition, you get this extra book with Scrooge's #1 dime, but the core book itself looks also to be a completely delightful look at the past. So if you want more interviews, you can get that deluxe edition. if you just want a tight core book that goes over all the basics, it looks like this will be available as well without the special cult pages. Maybe I'll give a full review in the future if anyone's interested, but until then, people put a lot of work into this book, and this book shows, I think, how much work people put into the show. So check it out. It's available at all major book retailers. You can also order it from indie bookstores if you want. Go ahead and check that out. It's so cool. I'm really excited to look at this. Until next time, thanks for watching. I hope to do more videos soon in the future, but until now, thanks for joining me for this quick unboxing of the art in DuckTales. Until then, take it easy, Internet.